Angela says, am I correct in my understanding that all of this is just because they think UATV isn't doing or offering what they think it should, and they're freaking out about it? No, that's the proximate cause. The real reason is that they hate Owen. No, I never promised we'd have anything. I said we hoped to do it. So what we're going to do is we are going to methodically, slowly, go after these guys one at a time, starting with the most public ones, and we will just go through again and again and again until we find the people responsible that can be identified and turned over to the authorities for the state and federal felonies that they committed. You guys can complain all you want. You know, the Mr. T's 24 hours up and nothing happened. Another live from Vox. LOL, come for us, Vox. See, look, they want me to come for them. They're daring me to come for them. Challenge accepted. Challenge accepted. Don't go whining and crying about the fact that we're doing this. You just said, go ahead and do it. And we are. You know, we're providing what we're, but you know, it doesn't matter. You can say whatever you want. You can mock as much as you want. We're still going to methodically come after you. And even if you have nothing, then we will make sure that your wages are garnished so that for as long as it takes, maybe for the rest of your life, you won't have anything. What has that Croc guy actually said that pissed off? I'm not pissed off about Marcelo. I mean, I'm not happy that he lies about unauthorized TV, that he doesn't understand technology, and that he calls it a scam. That's defamation. That's actionable defamation, and he's repeatedly done it. Now, I understand that he may not be guilty for for a number of these other things, but he knows who they are. And, you know, fortunately, David Marcello is not only the center of that little, you know, hate spiral, but he has a direct financial connection to a number of the other folks. And so, you know, it's fine. It's going to take time. We don't know exactly who is responsible for what. That's why I was giving them, some of these guys, the opportunity to come forward. They've contacted a number of companies. Where do you think the whole tortious interference thing comes from, right? And so we're working with those companies. They've provided us the information about the people who've been complaining and so forth. And so, you know, why aren't you equally going after Ty Richards, who has his posse of bears running around calling? Why would you think that we're not? You know? No, Davy's problem is not that I promised a servant and took the money and didn't deliver. We are delivering stuff that goes way beyond anything that we've talked about. We never promised any service. We promised hours of video every day. And what have we delivered? Hours of video every day. They will, you know, they will just, once we have live streaming direct on our existing channels, on our existing servers, then they'll come up with some other excuse to claim it's a scam. Vox, do you have any proof whatsoever for any of the claims you make? Truly just wondering. Any proof of the lawsuits? It seems there is none. What lawsuits are you talking about? LOL, dox yourself, Davey. You think he's that stupid, dude? Of course I don't think he's that stupid. That's how I know he's lying. So what we're going to do first of all, and this is something that a lot of you can help out with, is we are now going to enforce copyright violations on all YouTube videos that show any clips from this or show any clips from Owen stuff. So what you can do is you can go ahead and when you see a copyright violation from a channel like Davy Croco 2 or Davy Croco 3 or any of the other suspects, shoot me an email with the exact timestamp, etc., and the extension. Look up the YouTube copyright violation form, and then send it. Make sure that you provide all the information to me or to Owen, and then we will be sure to get the copyright violations registered. They will get strikes on their channel. Okay, and let me make it clear. Even if you think you have nothing to lose, even if you think that, oh, I don't have anything, I don't have any money and stuff, then we will garnish your wages. You will be paying for your actions, possibly for the rest of your life. Agent Smith said, why would you single out Davy if what Davy says is not true? I'm single. It's not about the fans, obviously. So, anyhow, we have now 26 lawyers in the Legal Legion. We're coming after Davy. Once we have his identity, then we can go ahead and get it. He's perfectly welcome to defend his defamation in court. When you don't seem to understand, for example, when you make a video and you say stupid stuff that's false, you can get away with it in the States to a certain degree. But here's the bad news, guys. Also, you're violating UK law if your video is in the UK. And it is much, much easier to win a defamation case in the UK. Old man fighting on the, you try to dox when you lose the battle idea. No, this has nothing to do with losing the battle ideas. This has to do with people who are trying to hack our online store, who are trying to tortiously interfere with our relations with multiple businesses. These are people who are trying to actively defame our operations as well as us personally. And they are also, they are all, like, for example, look at a very minor example of how Nick Fuentes went and confronted Ben Shapiro when he was out with his family. The behavior that they are engaging in is illegal under federal law, illegal under state law, and also creates a lot of civil liability. No, Agent Smith, he doesn't have proof of the lies. He told lies himself. He told many lies himself. And so, if he thinks he's telling the truth, fine. Email me, Davy, if you think you're telling the truth. Email me your telephone number and your address, and we will have you served within 1 week. And you can have your day in court. Doesn't matter what state you live in. We've got someone who covers it. And so, this is going to be very, very expensive for you guys. And here's the thing. The ironic thing is that what you've done has actually helped unauthorized grow faster than it has ever grown before. Address the problem. The funny thing is, somebody said, oh, it's so it's so gay that you're going to do copyright strikes. We're doing that at the request of the companies that you are contacting in an attempt to get us taken down. And also, since people are claiming that Davy Crocco wants to know the truth, I would like somebody to file complaints for any defamation and libel that is committed there. We can settle. We can absolutely settle what is true and what is not. And I understand that. Here's how absolutely, wildly, and ludicrously wrong they are. They still think that nothing's happened with Patreon. Owen hasn't done anything about Patreon. That you horrible little people will come forward, take responsibility for what you've done. You know what it is. And then we'll be able to move on. And you'll be able to move on. But if you don't come forward, you try to hide it, and you try to pretend that you didn't do it, and you try to deny, when you're found, you try to deny that it was you and so forth. Understand, we are going to financially break you. It's not just going to be the criminal stuff. It's going to be the civil liability that is attached to the things that you've done. These are angry, bitter little guys. It's possible that some of them were stirred up to it, but I don't get that impression. And some of the stuff that I'm not telling you indicates that it's just pure amateur stuff. There probably is a emotional leader of sorts. Obviously the most active one on Reddit is the one who calls himself Real Owen Benjamin. We didn't assemble the legal legion to go after some moronic copyright violators like Davy Crocco and whoever, and people who are attempting to interfere with our business or who are attempting to slander our business and so forth. If it's one of Owen's videos, email him. If it's one of my videos, email me. So, but the thing is that what they don't. One thing that they obviously don't realize is that what they're trying to do when they are emailing people about our business relations, and they're saying, did you know that so-and-so is doing this? And then they try to interfere with your that's tortious interference right there. That's what they're openly admitting to is something that opens them up for a civil lawsuit. The great Trollsby said, why not just address the allegations Davy has raised? Because he has repeatedly lied and he's attempting to harm us. So now we're coming after him. We are going to, I'm absolutely happy to have the truth come out. When we go to court, the truth will come out. Davy had better pray that everything he said is true. You guys wanted my attention. You guys can find out how fun it is to joke about LOL, Dork Lord, blah blah blah. Yeah, and the same offer. The same offer goes for Davey Crocco. If you want to have a conversation, if you want to apologize and take down your videos before they're taken down as copyright strikes, I'll give you that opportunity too. I am not particularly interested in you guys. We have much, much bigger conflict that I would rather be spending my time on it. See, these guys, look, Bill, you're just like a little boy. Quick, Davey, take them down. Vox demanded it. I don't care if he takes them down or not. They're coming down. But I'm giving him an opportunity to get out of this. I'm willing to look past most of this stuff because it's been essentially harmless. But a very serious line was crossed. And whoever is responsible knows who they are. Come on Davey's channel. I'm not going to chat with Davey. If he wants to talk, he can send me his telephone number. I'll give him a call and we'll talk. I am always happy to accept someone's submission. I don't even care about an apology. I don't care what they think. All I care is how they behaved and how they're going to behave in the future. That is the extent of my interest. And so, the thing that's so crazy about this is that we have repeatedly proven ourselves. We've repeatedly delivered exactly what we said we're going to do. We have a payment system that is going to be unveiled along with all the other stuff in 2020 that is a payment system that doesn't involve credit cards or PayPal or any of that stuff. Deb Davis says, are you saying a private admission of wrongdoing will be accepted as an apology? I'm not asking for an apology myself. There is one thing that I can't absolve. And like I said, I'm only disclosing the things that that I know all the details on, and that it's fine for me to discuss. Can the phone call with you and Davey be recorded? I don't believe that would be something that we would want to do in public. If we were going to do it on public, we'd just do it on a live stream, right? Would you debate Davey if Nick would debate you? I'm not going. The only time I anticipate debating Davey is when he's cross-examined by our legal team. We do have lawyers in. I think we cover probably 34 of the 50 states, but including all the ones that really matter in terms of like companies. Remember, none of this. Tyrone Major said, so Davey Crocco's channel got deleted because of you. No, we have. I have said before that I have never once issued a copyright violation. And that is still true as of this moment. It will not be true probably tomorrow. Joel Whitehead, file your statement of claim in the High Court of whatever state you think is appropriate. My statement of claim regarding what specifically? Those of you who want to help hunt the gammas, read up on the rules for copyright violations, send them, and we will get on it. So, trolls, you have 24 hours from now to get in touch with me, and we'll talk. Have a good evening. I'm Vox Day. This is the Dark Stream. Nobody came forward. Nobody admitted anything. And of course we haven't filed lawsuits yet. It's going to, in fact, we actually need to wait for certain things to happen before we can even get the process started. But I want to let you know about a few things. First of all, and possibly most important, the reason that we decided it was necessary to start taking steps and stop ignoring the ankle biting is that they ended up crossing a very significant line yesterday. And a lot of people were saying, why are you reacting? Why are you doing this? Why are you attempting to deal with these guys? And the reason is very simple. Owen and Amy were swatted yesterday. They're okay. Everybody's fine. But there is now a federal and state laws that have been very seriously violated. The police reports were already filed. It's going to be difficult to find out exactly who is responsible, but we know exactly the group of people who were responsible. And no, you guys can whine about, oh, proof must be required, etc., etc. No, we don't need to show you any proof whatsoever. This is not the first time that something in this area has happened. And so when you look at what is happening, it's going to be, it's going to be something that no family man and nobody is going to overlook. We're not overlooking it. The police aren't overlooking it. It's going to, it's going to be something that is going to take months to address the situation. And if it takes us years to track these people down, then we're going to go ahead and do that. Again, we don't know. You can see all the gammas showing up going, it sounds fake. No, this is what you little morons did. This is what happens when you guys all get in your little angry hate spiral and you all start trying to impress each other, and you start praising people for, oh, I managed to get onto Owen's chat. I managed to get Vox to say something silly. And what you do is you just keep encouraging each other. You just keep encouraging each other to do crazier and crazier things. And now, now that line has been crossed and it can't be uncrossed. And so we are coming after every single one of you. And if that means that we have to, bankrupt 50 of you to get all the names of all your, PayPal backers and whatever, so be it. I gave you an opportunity to come forward and stop this stuff. But you all laughed. You all said, "Oh, Vox isn't Mensa, and they're not doing anything to Patreon." Want to bet? I will bet you $10 million or a single gold coin or anything that you want to bet that something has been filed against Patreon. And, why pull a big boy move? What does swatted mean? Swatted means that you called a federal or state authority and made a false report that caused them to go out to somebody's house. And so, so this is, why say you have 26 lawyers when that's a lie? Because it's not a lie. We actually have, it's more like 28 now. But somebody said, and I mean, the funny thing is people did a video talking about how this was some sort of, I don't even remember what they described this book as, but this book actually tells you exactly how we dealt with the Indiegogo situation, how we're dealing with the Patreon situation. It's all there if you know how to read it. Why did I delete the last stream? Because it served my purpose. It makes no difference whatsoever. I mean, do you not understand that your words mean literally nothing to me? Your opinion means literally nothing to me. No, I'm not interested in going on the kill stream with David Marcello. We are coming for him, and we are going to, do what we do. Given the fact that Mr. Marcello lives in a house that sold for $121,000 or so, I don't think we're going to be going up against Harvard Law and Stanford Law again. Mr. Marcello is going to need a New York lawyer once the tortious interference is perfected. This is just a situation that we're going to have to deal with, and if that means that we have to financially break a few of these little shits along the way, then so be it. If these guys hadn't done anything, they wouldn't have anything to fear. They wouldn't have any problems at all. They created the situation. We are dealing with the situation. Let's see. Is violence ever the answer? I mean, not in a situation like this. I don't think these little gamma spiteful creatures tend to be particularly violent. They just think that they are anonymous and free from consequences. That's why they're going to start acting up. Learned One says, so you now think it's more important to go after ankle biters? Yes, now that Owen and Amy have been swatted, yes, it is more important to go after them. In Seattle now, they have a anti-SWAT registry, because this sort of thing is happening often enough that they, and I've obviously made recommendations that Owen arranged to get on that. So the next time something does that, um, you know, it'll get stopped right away. It'll get stopped right away. Um, how do you know who swatted Owen? We don't know yet. How do you know whose life? We don't know yet. We're going to work on that methodically over time. Where's the hidden hand? Said Vox. Davey had nothing to do with any swatting. It's not his style, Vox. I don't care. He is connected to the people who are. And he has committed his own offenses against us. And so we're going to make sure that we get all of the information that we want from him, and that all of his copyright violating videos come down, and that he, stops defaming us. He's already done enough to justify everything that's coming for him. And he's also got information by people that may be connected, and one of them may be responsible for this. We can't know, so we have to dig up everything. That's why I gave people the opportunity to come forward and, let us know what they did, make good, and give us the information we want. I don't give a flying rodent's posterior about David Marcello, but he's the first step. I mean, I'm assuming some of you understand. I mean, some of you have played a puzzle game before, right? John Smith is trying to be a clever boy too. You're acting as if the legal system is fair. No, I'm not. My father was sentenced to jail for 12 years for what should have maximum been 18 months. You don't need to tell me anything about the unfairness of the legal system. The problem is that you're a coward. You, John Smith, are a coward. You could easily face corrupt judges and lose, then lose again in appeal. The face countersuit and lose. The system is corrupt. You're a coward, John. Go. Candace James says, I like John. Well, you do seem to be two of a kind. You don't know what you're talking about, and he's a coward. Artillery Matt, could you explain why you brought up the Anti-Swatting Act of 2018 if it wasn't enacted? Because that was what I was referring to. People have this idea that swatting means the SWAT team was called. That's not true. First of all, nobody calls the SWAT team. You get that right. The SWAT team is one of many possible responses when police reports are filed. The illegal act does not involve the SWAT team showing up somewhere. The illegal act is in the attempt to get the authority to respond in some way. The laws that are being written to address this stuff, the regulations and policies that are being addressed, or that are being created to address this stuff, all refer to swatting as the filing of a police report to do something. I just happened to pick that one because it defined the term very clearly. You don't just immediately look at the puzzle and solve the entire thing. You start putting the pieces together. You start getting little bits of information here and there. I don't know what we'll discover as we go along the way. I know it's going to take time. Somebody's saying, you haven't filed any lawsuits. For what? Yeah, we've got the defamation, but the tortious interference isn't complete yet. And Poster Child points out that that's the big point. If they get away with it once, they'll continue to do it until something seriously bad happens. That's right. And so, we'll just have to we'll just have to deal with it. It's kind of funny. They're already desperately trying to disprove it. Again, I have no idea what David did or didn't do or said or didn't say to the people who are responsible, but David did plenty of stuff that is actionable. If you want to know the technical term, he is a tortfeasor. He may or may not be a felonious criminal, but he is at the very least a tortfeasor, and that gives us the opportunity to pursue him in the civil courts. So, no, I'm not going to reiterate exactly what happened to Big Bear and his family. I'm going to leave that up to him to address at the appropriate time. But I'm just explaining to you why I made the decision to stop ignoring all the call yourself Dark Lord ankle biters who have been, lying and bitching and whining and complaining and crying about the success of unauthorized TV and calling our highly valued subscribers pay piggies and other negative names, other insults. And so, this is see the thing is, this grizzly mom, I want proof. Jesus once said, even if you're given proof, you won't believe. Even if he performs a miracle, you won't believe. You don't believe it because you don't want to believe it, because it violates your violates your narrative. So yeah, I mean, it's entirely possible that Ty Richards was responsible. I don't know anything about him, but all the various possibilities will be looked into. Personally, perhaps some of you will find out why I was given that nickname. Dave Albert said, so you're going to sue a guy that lives in a $112,000 house. That was cheap to you. Well, in fairness, I think it was $121,000. But yes, that's what we are intending to do, because he has committed acts of defamation. He is involved in serially slandering a number of people, and actions have consequences. I offered mercy. My offer of mercy was refused. I don't care what anybody has to say about this stuff anymore. I made my decision, and you guys decided to mock and belittle and insult and spurn that offer. Let's see here. So it's a general term now. Yes, it's always been a general term. If you think about it, who called the SWAT team? Do you have the SWAT team's number? Does any anonymous person have the ability to direct the SWAT team anywhere? No. So, Pretty Mama Bear summarizes it correctly. It's law enforcement involvement, not SWAT team deployment. Carl Philip Gabler says, the person placing the false report does not know which team might get sent, so for all they know, it could have been SWAT. Yes, exactly. Alaskan Tool Bear points out also, Swatting, a colloquial for any encounter as a result of a false report with a private citizen by authorities, has always been that. Precisely. And so I was just, when I was describing the whole thing, I was making it very clear what was going on. It's about the false informing. It is not about how the police decided to respond. So, and of course, as always, if you notice, the gammas always get it wrong. They come up with their own incorrect definition, and then, try to apply that as the only possible definition when it's not even a correct one. Artillery mech, but it wasn't enacted. So what? Why reference a dead act for a definition? Because it clearly defined it. I just don't get it. I may just be stupid. Yes, you are. If I explain it, then people say, oh, well, that's just your definition. When I reference a law that has been discussed and debated, though apparently not enacted, it makes it very clear it's not my definition. That's the way that the Congress, among others, defines it. Now, maybe you think that the Urban Dictionary or, Reddit is a more appropriate place to define things. All you're doing when you're referring to a definition is making it clear that it is an objective term. It is not a subjective term that you created. Oh God, you are stupid. And failed. So wouldn't that mean the definition didn't stand? No, you fucking moron. The definition exists. The law does not. There are whole dictionaries of definitions that have not been passed into law, but they exist. Swatting does not, to the best of my knowledge, exist in the Oxford English Dictionary. Maybe it does now. But you need to get off your ridiculous gamma chair and stop trying to impose your suboptimal understanding of things on everybody else. I'm answering your questions. I'm giving you the reasons. Everybody else understands it. You understand it. You're just having a tough time accepting it. Let's go ahead and look it up. Maybe I was wrong not to look up the Oxford English Dictionary. Okay, we go to the OED home. Verb used with object: to hit, slap, smack. 2. Baseball: to hit a ball powerfully, usually for a long distance. First recorded in 1790, 1800, original variant of squat, about the former princely state. Oh wait, here we go. SWAT, it's a noun, a special section of some law enforcement agencies. Dun, 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 dun. And okay, here, no, this is fair. They use this one. Usually SWAT, especially among online gamers, to cause a SWAT team to be deployed on an unsuspect. Okay, so dictionary.com's definition is the one that he understands, which is why it was a good idea to use the 2018 definition, because obviously, let's see. Nirot says, it seems he somehow thought it wasn't illegal or criminal because there wasn't a specific act passed on it. No, it's worse than that. I mean, he thought that because the legal term had not been enacted, that it therefore didn't mean what it was defined to mean. Yeah, so anyhow, the point is that it's not, keep in mind, it's not just the laws, it's also the policies. For example, Seattle now has a anti-SWAT registry. That does not refer to deployments of the SWAT team. It refers to false police reports. And so, and it, somebody said Cambridge does define it that way. Fine, but when we get to, as we get to each thing, right now, we're addressing the Legal Legion is addressing the Patreon situation. That should be, that'll definitely be done before the end of the year. If they're smart, it'll be done within 2 months. Like I said, you always have to talk about these things. There's no reason or there's no benefit to just backing people into a corner where they have no choice but to fight. Now, if they do elect, if they do elect to fight, fine. That's what we prepare for. That's why we take our time. And those of you who have asked, there's some of you who've asked questions about still being billed for something, and don't comment on it if you know what I'm talking about. Let it keep going, and make sure that you send someone the emails that you get to confirm those things. The longer it goes on, the better. And we will be getting to that, in the near future. So it's just one thing at a time. And then before I go, I just said don't talk about it. So keep in mind that it's when I know what I'm talking about and you know what I'm talking about, then it's counterproductive to let everybody else know. Okay, so there's no need to be, to show that I don't. That's not what I'm looking for. I'm trying to let you know what to do. If you don't, here's the thing that the Gamma folks need to understand, and generally won't, is that they think that everyone's just all talk. They project. They don't understand that, sometimes people actually do what they say. No, if you look at somebody like Marcelo, he lost his father last year. I don't think that's something to mock, although I certainly have plenty of grounds for that, considering their constant attempts to try to, trigger me by talking about my father's situation. In a battle like this, how far you go would you bring in their family? No, I've never seen any need to. Vox, do you think in the future Gammaism could be cured, prevented with decent education from an early age? Maybe if we went to some sort of Spartan thing. But the main problem is that these guys are the kind of people who, okay, I'm going to ban this guy. He keeps crying about evidence. Look, it's fine. You don't have to believe me. I don't care, but I'm not going to offer you any proof. I'm not going to give you any details. I'm not going to talk anymore about it. All I have said is given people the explanation for why we have begun this great gamma troll hunt. Stuntman Bear, I think, is correct. Swatting is just another form of LARPing for them. They don't think of the consequences concerning other people's lives. No, of course not. They just get, they're very narcissistic, and they think that the words are all there is. Welcome, Dimitri K. Binks has a good point. The Pharisees saw the miracles of Jesus. They still they still refused to believe. Well, the stuff with Patreon is much more interesting than you might think. Was anyone here? This is just we've got 1360 people here, so maybe there's one or two or three folks. Is there anyone here who was a patron of Mr. Mitoker's Patreon? Type an affirmation in all caps if you were.
They put all these traumatic images in people's heads. That's kind of their job, so that people will always picture the worst case scenario and a screaming child and a shot dog and all this. And don't do that, because none of that happened. Man, good to see you back. Kissing wife trumps coolness. Yeah, definitely. What they did was very illegal, and a lot of people don't know the law. That's why this is called Trolls, Jesters, and the Law of the Land. They don't know the role of the comedian. They don't know what is legal and what is not legal, and they probably don't know many cops. Here's what a lot of trolls don't know about me. I'm very ordered. My job is to say politically offensive things. I'm a politically incorrect comedian. I pay my taxes. I don't commit crimes. I do charity shows for police, for fallen officers. So, oh, by the way, anybody trying to be like, so what happened? If people are trying to do the fear porn, just get them out. Vox told everybody the severity of what happened because there's too much confusion online as to why we are taking this very seriously. And people need to understand. And this is what you trolls need to understand. Someone who tries to separate a man and a woman from their children under a false police report is 1 or 2 notches above pedophile in the minds of most family people. I did a whole stream about how Nick Fuentes should not have confronted Ben Shapiro on the street with his family, and just seeing the division between men with families and men without families. Men without families, some of these incel, Milker Nation, troll types, they don't understand how insane that appears. Like, you're despised, and it's illegal. And cops hate it. Social workers hate it. They all hate it. Some of these people will have to, one of my friends who was a state trooper in New York had to show up on a scene once where a meth head, I'm not even going to tell you what they did to their baby, because I don't want that image in your head. Then imagine they get sent to me. For all intents and purposes, Amy and I run a model household. It's like what we are doing is so healthy and happy and ordered and legal that the people that have to deal with real problems and watching these online beefs started by trolls that belong under a bridge, they take it very seriously, and it's illegal. And you can get court orders to find out exactly who did it, and there's laws against it, guys. What people don't seem to understand is the United States is a company. It's a corporation. When people are slandering unauthorized as a fraud, they're breaking the law. And these people take that very seriously. This isn't a game. Calling someone like a homo or, making fun of them or mockery. I've never copyright struck any of those people until they started doing what's very illegal. And unauthorized.tv is doing great. All this drama has actually increased subscribers because obviously it isn't a fraud. But when you say something is a fraud, and if you try to like hack in to someone's company, they may put you in prison. That isn't talking trash. So I know in your little gamma male brain, when you say, well, Owen called Crowder a sodomite, so I tried to get his family arrested. It's the same thing. It isn't. I never break the law. I pay my taxes. We're going to get to as soon as people, all you gamma trolls, you have to understand, as soon as the real world sees what you're claiming and what you're doing, he made a video, he was ranting at the moon. As soon as they find out I'm a comedian, I'm a politically incorrect comedian, you sound crazy. And so many lines have been crossed because of these people. And one of the guys even bragged about it. That's one reason why I'm not saying any details. Because the one thing about trolls, they're so impulsive and they're so narcissistic and so arrogant that they're pretty easy to spot. And don't worry, I'm not coming for you. This is what I'm doing. I'm pursuing legal action against whoever it was that tried to do this because what it was a felony. If people want to use my likeness on YouTube to mock my business or my family, I will strike you and copyright strike you because it's literally illegal and insane. I don't care if you mock me. I don't care if you talk smack about me. I don't care if you say I'm a big bad wolf. But if you break the law, I have to make some public examples of people because it's just so off the rails, some of these gammas will start believing their own lies where they're like, Owen's a cult leader. Owen's a liar. And then they start actually believing it to the point where they're like trying to send authorities at me. It's like, do you never stop and realize how it's none of that's true? And when reality meets you, you're not going to be in a good position. I'm not a cult leader. That. We both know that. But the problem with wizardry is they start believing their own lies where they're like, oh, Amy's going to leave. All facts show that I have a devoted, loving wife, a healthy and happy and logos-driven family. I am a law-abiding comedian who lives his life in a very good way to the point where it literally inspires people. So when you take a police officer or a social worker away from a house where the kids are covered in blood and the mom's asleep on heroin, reality will come back to you in a way. And I don't require vengeance. I'm not even mad. My family and I, we all had a great weekend, and it was awesome taking off the weekend and not streaming and seeing what really matters. And we started bowling, and it's just wonderful weekend. And Amy the other day was like if Amy beats me in bowling or if I beat her in bowling, it's a win-win because our DNA is combined. And it's a great sober activity. Yeah, all these trolls, I don't drink. That. So when you tell authorities that I'm a raving drunk, we don't even have alcohol in the house. And that's what happened to me this weekend with this swatting situation is the narrative spinners will sometimes believe their own lies. They'll this one guy tried to get a big reaction on the internet just so that he could sell merch with my face on it, literally, and get clicks. And he's just a desperate guy. And so he starts saying I'm a cult leader and all this. And that type of traumatic speech will get clicks. He will make money on that. But then, the chickens come home to roost and it's not true. It's very, very obvious that these things are lies and he profited off it. But then you have to sit in your lies. Zero tolerance, folks. Yeah. No, none of these special boys, because they'll have their Reddit. That's under the bridge, And if you go to Reddit and read troll accounts, you're part of it. Just stay away from it. Trolls live under the bridges, and they're going to be under there going, oh, Owen Benjamin, oh. Just stay away. And they're not going to be here. If you want to bring that energy here, you're going to be kicked out. I have a pregnant wife and a homestead, and I'm a comedian, and I don't want more headaches with nonsense threats. Reddit is a shit show. Dude, it's the underworld. None of this is new. None of this is new. And I'm not giving details on any of this, but when you have authorities and you have these images in your head, because the false accusations are insane, guys. And, you know, scenes from Law and Order pop in your head, and scenes from all these like movies pop in your head. And, you know, when you're a family man, nothing's more important. And every man knows that than your family. It's a nightmare, right? And that's what and don't let it scare you. Don't feel bad for me or us or anything. Don't let that in, because that's the point. It's all about fear, you know? And so, okay, look at this. None of this is new. This is how the trolls were always depicted, right? This is Reddit. You see that troll under the bridge? The whole imagery and the whole story, and these are valuable concepts that you can actually learn something, is there's an underworld. You know, trickery. The troll is always trying to trick. The troll is always trying to get your horse to go off the path. The troll can't go up. It can't go on the bridge. You know, and there's always been trolls. And in the past, people could identify, a lot more people understood this because we had mothers at home. The pattern I keep seeing with these gammas is just kind of tragic childhoods. Like nobody raised them properly. Like they don't know reality. You know, for most of human existence, you had a mother at home reading you these stories. So you understood that you're on a bridge and the troll can't go on the bridge. You know, and people be like, well, you engage with the trolls, you mock the trolls. Again, I am a comedian. But don't let them suck you into their underworld. You know? Like what I do with trolls and what I do with like Rogan and Crowd and that stuff, that's literally my craft. It pays my bills, guys. And the jester gets to say the truth. This is a whole different concept. This is, like, I'll show you another image. Trolls are pathetic and they're always going to exist. And so when people, you know, passionately, and I understand your passion and I appreciate how much you care about me and my family. I really do. But when you're scouring Reddit, unless you're like VFM, like Vox's guys, or unless you're very cold in a good way, don't. You're just going to get mad. And then you're going to engage and the troll is going to cackle. Okay, here's another image of the, like, don't go to these places of trolls. That underworld, that troll is desperately trying to get those on the bridge. And you have to look over or fall for his tricks to go into the underworld. And once you're in the underworld, life gets pretty difficult, you know? And this weekend I saw some real images of the underworld. And it's like, that's where they want you. That's where they want your mind. And if you fall for some of these traps, and I see people fall for traps about me all the time. They say, oh, Benjamin's crazy. He thinks the earth is flat. I mean, this guy's a kook. You know, like, stop calling people crazy. It's like this whole, oh, you didn't think we went to the moon? I'm like, you just went to a baseball game. If you fight reality, you end up like these people who now actually have convinced themselves that I'm some kind of cult leader, right? That's why when people are spiraling about unauthorized and money and they don't even understand what money is. These people, they're all about the gold stars, and that's why they're living in a constant state of hell. Okay? The real underworld in the system is family law. You know, and the trolls, these situations, because family law is subjective and the motivations are all over the place. You know, they almost make money on family pain. But they always go after the vulnerable, the broken, families that have beef and wrath and you know, all this stuff. And then it's very anti-male and all this stuff. Stay away from that whole world. Keep your house very ordered. Because, like, that troll is in the underworld, right? And the closest I've ever seen to a true underworld is family law, where it's just endless narratives and fees and pain and all. Like, the more you can just stay out of that, the better, because it isn't fair. It just is what it is. Filing a false police report, man, that's a serious crime. And they take it very seriously. My neighbor's a cop and his daughter is a social worker, and we hang out all the time. Very good guy. And, cops are frustrated at all the bad guys they can't put away. If anything, the system is rigged against. One thing they despise is when people try to use the system for personal vendettas about nonsense. And it's not illegal to talk shit online. It is illegal to file a false police report or to try and say that someone's business is a fraud when it isn't. There's serious laws in place for this. What happened to our family this past weekend because of the trolls who broke the law and will be prosecuted sent so many people spiraling that I was the one trying to help people calm down. They're like, I'm so sorry you're going through this. Like, I could feel the tension and fear and anger it was giving people that I didn't even experience. And so I was like, everyone's fine. There was no trauma. I'm not giving details, by the way, because I've learned my lesson about the internet. And I'm not even going to engage. If people are like, well, what was the specifics? Just ban. You don't get to know that, man. I'm very personable and very accessible. And I don't see status as anything. I see character. I see creativity, what kind of a person you are. And some people try and take advantage of that because I'm so not in an ivory tower. But there's a lot of cops with beautiful morality and logos and understanding. And there's some gamma cops that want to make people feel pain. In general, it's not an evil job. It is what it is. And there will always be the law of the land. There will always be the law. Did the SWAT team steal your bead? Just, guys, there was no violent trauma. Don't let Hollywood imagery affect you, okay? It was a violation. It's insane what they attempted to do to me and my family. But the real world isn't Hollywood. It isn't what you think it is. Like, after this event in my life, I turned off, and we went bowling. And we've had a great time. And that's what really matters. And now that you see my lack of anger, my lack of fear when something really crazy happens, understand that a lot of my rants, a lot of my exaggerations is comedy. I'm not saying what I'm saying is a lie. It's not. But it's the music of it. Like, I'm not angry at these people. I used to feel bad for them to the point where I wouldn't pursue copyright strikes or send police. Like, I knew that one dude who was trying to drive to my house, he's making all these videos, and he's on his way. Guys, I have a pregnant wife and 2 little kids. These people don't know the stakes and the love and the fear that can induce, right? I found out what kind of car he drives, where he lives, within 6 hours. And then I found out where he works, and he walks dogs. And I didn't pull the trigger on that one. I didn't try and get him fired. I didn't try to ruin his life because I fucking felt bad for him. But I pictured this lonely, broken, resentful dude who all he's got is dogs. And he sees me, someone he probably loved and then hated and thought I'd be his dad and thought he could be like me, and he can. And he sees me say that dogs don't have souls. And so all his hate and all his fear and all his despair gets put on me. And then he's going to drive to me and make it right. And he doesn't realize how fucking insane he looks. And I didn't get him. Guys, I'm not a vicious person. I didn't dox him. I'm still not. I fucking felt bad for him because I realized how impotent. He wasn't going to come here. Hurting Ty Richards does nothing to evil. He's currently obsessed. He's currently possessed with these feelings. I'm not saying he deserves to be in a mental institution. That's not the point of this. Some people try and do these fake narratives of like, oh, he's lost his mind. Authorities. No, I don't like authorities. I'm a comedian. This may be one of the first, no, this is the second time in my entire life I've even interacted with the authorities on my own behalf ever. And I've seen some crazy shit. I don't tattle to the teacher. I don't like principals, teachers. I don't like authority. I don't go to someone else and say, this guy just did something. I fucking never do that. So don't think that that's what I'm saying. Where he's at is the underworld, where his thoughts are not coinciding whatsoever with reality. And I saw that with a few of these former Bears that I kind of knew. I knew they were wacky and they were going a little off the deep end, but like, if you see me yelling and ranting and saying some things that seem so outrageous, it's literally what I do. And I'm not lying. It's just in a manner that's funny. So if you then mimic that and say, well, I'm going to do that. I'm just going to fucking freak out on my neighbor. So let's say Ty Richards says, I'm Benjamin, the fucking cult leader, and I'm spiraling, and I'm just going to... The masculine says, you're insane. Get the fuck out of here. And then he'd be like, no, but see, I'm going to get everybody and I'm going to get everyone to hate you. Women, I will fucking ban every single person here, except Coddington Bear, if people don't start acting right. The world isn't subjective. It isn't this mishmash of, well, I feel like a woman. I'm a bird. I'm a comedian now just because I say so. I am a comedian. And when you understand that, my entire life makes perfect sense. And you want to know what happens? It works because it's needed. I am a comedian. I don't have anything in common with them. You're in hell. And so when I talk about, I just want people to know today, and I think I've made my points, that these lies about me, about fraud, about fuck you. Not only is it not true, that path will lead you to living under a bridge, trying to scare people on. All right, Gamma's gone. This has gone back to old school BB. Yeah, because they now realize that, because there were some men that realized after this weekend's events that they just bit off more than they can chew and it went too far. And I'm very glad that they simply adjusted. They're like, wait a minute, I thought we're just, wait a minute. So they really called to send police to Owen's house? Like, I don't want anything to do with that. And I've gotten emails of people like that, and good. I don't give a fuck how you view me. I don't care if you mock me, but like, it went too far. And the Gamma male hates confrontation. They can't even do it. It's all has to be ankle biting. There's been a few of them that have broken federal laws, and they'll pay. And there's all these men in the world, these young men that have never had a masculine voice in their life, and they have no idea what they're biting. And this has been a growth experience for a lot of people. A lot of people now realize what was going on. A lot of people realize that it's all fun and games until reality comes in. You can't win at Reddit. Just don't go. Last point, and then I'm out of here. God, release the lemons. But another irrational thing to do, completely irrational, is to go to Reddit and angrily read subreddits that are all lies about me. And just keep going back and being like, these fucking gammas. Or like to watch I don't watch any of their videos. The equivalent is someone watching gay porn for hours and calling them fags. Being like, look at these oh my God, look at this guy. This homo he's coming in from a hard day of work. Oh, he's dropping to his knees. Can you believe it? And then he starts whacking off. Man, these guys are such homos. Why would you ever go to a place filled with terrible people? Right? Doesn't that sound completely irrational? When people are like, you got to see what Reddit, they've really crossed around. The whole point of Reddit is to be awful. It's under a bridge. Like, I'll give you a visual. Look, that's Reddit. Reddit is under a bridge. Hang on, it's not even that, because that guy looks a little too jacked. Reddit is that. Like, Reddit is under that bridge. Imagine people being like, I went back down to the bridge and there's still this real fucking creepy guy just being creepy. And then the next day, I went back down to the bridge. And it's like, stop. All right, guys, unauthorized.tv, unbearablesmerchandise.com, and get tickets for my upcoming weekend in Vegas. Davy Crocco is the worst of them. Well, it's bigger than people. It's truly a spiritual battle. Davy Crocco doesn't matter. Davy Crocco is a troll under a bridge that broke the law and came out from under his bridge and tried to hurt a United States corporation business. They don't like that, guys. They don't care if I hurt your feelings. Guys, they make money dropping bombs on villages. They don't give a fuck about Davy Crockett's feelings or I contradicted myself. Guys, I'm a comic. I get to say whatever the fuck I want. It's America, baby. I never break the law. Never. Authorized.tv is a fraud and a scam because you're a jealous little bitch is illegal. Well, I mean, but Owen will fire up the live stream and call everyone a homo and he says nigger. All legal. Talking shit online, legal. Filing a false police report, illegal. Guys, know the rules of the game you're playing. This isn't hard. And so I don't really care when people endlessly rant about me. Ironically, it promotes my websites. Do you know how many people will watch some of these troll videos and they'll hate the troll so much and they'll look at these like little cock, envious little fuckers and they'll immediately go to unauthorized and subscribe? I don't care. You don't hurt my feelings. I don't watch any of your videos. When you break the law, when you try to hack into our websites, when you try to send violent forces to my house, like you just made a mistake. It's like someone throwing a haymaker in a fight. You know, just this big Do you get scared or mad? No, you literally just look at the guy and go, you done fucked up. And then you just light him up. And I won't break a single law as I light these people up. And they will be lit up, and we have to make an example out of them, and it has to be public. And I don't care. Davy Crockett is a sad little man. Ty Richards is a sad, scared little broke man. Ty Richards is a sad, scared little broke man. This one dude who was like making videos that he was coming to my house and being very threatening and all that. And it scared me briefly. And then I started seeing what all this is. It's like his whole motivation is because I said dogs don't have souls and he works at a dog place. I see a guy with a broken family and he loves dogs and he now puts all his pain on me. And, you know, I get it. I get what they are, but it has to stop. I don't break the law. You do. Oh, I mean, Owen Benjamin. Ty Richards is still selling merch with my name on it and picture and stuff. And he was trying to shock people into buying it. He was trying to start a GoFundMe to take me down. He was bragging that he was going to put me in cuffs. Ty Richards. He put up a whole thing about how you can file FBI reports on me and how fun it is and how many he's filing and all that. Yeah, he deleted all that, took down his Instagram. He's probably a little nervous because he broke the law. He's violating many laws right now. And he has to stop. And do not attack them. I saw some people trolling him and saying really crazy stuff. It's not me. It's not illegal. I disavow all of it, though. And I truly do because you're not helping anybody. You know, because the world is a bunch of narratives. Do not make threats to him. He's already fucked. It's like, just let it happen. You know, don't swarm them, just ban and move on because there's an intimacy to hate. Because sometimes people misunderstand me and they see me like ranting or yelling or it's comedy. Go watch one of my 10 specials. It's obvious what I do. Sometimes yelling is funny. Check out Lewis Black sometime, retard. So they misunderstand. And then they do something crazy. And then their life will change forever. Ty Richards committed I'm not going to say what I believe the level of crimes he's committed, but maybe he'll get justice from the criminal justice, maybe not. But either way, that's a series of crazy mistakes. He was starting a GoFundMe for money to take me down, quote unquote, that he will keep. That's actual fraud. What he does is he fires up the trolls and the gammas and the resentful people and overly mother women, like women without husbands that like really want to nurture. And he acts all hurt and all this. And so people would send him money and then he'd keep it or whatever. He's actually committing crimes.
Some people have been asking, especially the concerned trolls, when are you going to file the lawsuits against the trolls and that sort of thing? It's not going to happen for months. These things take a long time. right now we're in the second month of the Patreon situation. There's a lot um, to take effect on January 1st. And so, there's no reason to rush these things. And so, like, for example, the Indiegogo thing took 11 months to get going. Or sorry, not to get going, to complete. We got deplatformed on October 11th. Well, we didn't even get, I guess we got deplatformed, you can say that. And you have to spend 30 days waiting for them to respond to your emails, which of course they never do. And then, it takes time to get the whole process rolling. And so, it's just something that you have to understand is takes a long time. And so don't get excited about things happening quickly. Don't get worried when things don't happen right away. And realize that sometimes we reprioritize. Some people are saying, well, you never did anything against Gab. It's not true. There have been some, there are some excellent developments that have taken place today with regards to what can really only be described as a second front with regards to the Patreon situation. And, frankly, that's more important than dealing with, these, fry cooks defaming UATV on the internet. It doesn't mean we're not going to deal with it. We absolutely are. But it's, there's only so many things that the Legal Legion can do. We have a lot of lawyers, but it doesn't, if you've got one guy in New York and two guys in California and a guy in Alabama and one in Alaska, well, you're not going to be focusing on, you can't put them all on somebody in New York. It doesn't work that way. Just trust that we know what we're doing. It's ridiculous. For example, when you see people saying things like, oh, nothing's happening with Patreon. You're not doing anything with Patreon. And then I point to the fact that Patreon has just changed its terms of use. They're like, well, that doesn't have anything to do with you. Oh, really? So, you've talked to Colin and you know exactly why he elected to have those changes made? I doubt it. It's possible, but I doubt it. And, we know what's going on. We're actually driving the situation. And I can tell you right now, the whole thing is going to heat up significantly in January, because in January, on January 1st, the California law changes. And one of the nice things about the change is that it is going to accelerate the process. That's why, it's evil to, go ahead and complain to a platform that somebody else is not obeying their terms of use, in your opinion. It's not your business. It's not your concern. There's a reason why people are fundamentally, even as children, hateful concern towards tattletales because they recognize the intrinsic evil of the tattletale.
I've seen Ole's work. He's tireless. Thank you, BB. Yeah, he is. And it's pretty. These false flag attacks, like all of them, are so preposterous. Like none are real. Like none. And Ole, or whatever his name is, I'm just checking out what people are saying about walking pneumonia. Coddington, I've never watched Semper Bear's streams. Coddington Bear used to always retweet his streams, and then there was this one Gamma that was making videos that he was going to come to my house and all this crazy shit. And he'd be in Semper Bear's chat, and Coddington Bear, I guess, was telling Semper Bear, like, you got to kick this dude out or I can't retweet your streams anymore. And there must have been a miscommunication or something because he didn't kick the guy out. And so all that happened was Coddington stopped promoting Semper Bear. Semper Bear probably took it as an offense, overreacted, got upset. It's just dumb. That's what happened. And it's like the internet can create these dramas out of nothing. It's like pure wizardry. He's probably still a good guy. You know, it's just a series of unfortunate misunderstandings, and then just everything gets ratcheted up. And then it's like, oh, why don't you retweet me anymore? And then Coddington, I guess, wouldn't respond. And then, because I think some people don't understand how important it is to not associate with people who are like threatening me. Alan Powell, yeah, that guy. And so that's it. All it is it's not that we like hate you. It's not that I don't want you to stream. I'm just not going to promote anybody that associates with people who actively hate me. And that's, not only is that understandable, if you can't understand that, it's like, then what am I even here for? They do want to be here, BB. What you on about? They are infants who had their hand held over the channel. Oh, you're banned. You're banned. And you don't even know that because it's on the internet. One of the reasons I know the background of some of these types of people is after this most recent Gamma situation, we did a lot of background looking into some of the more psychotic ones, like some of these people that got so crazy with me. And it's the same story over and over again. It's very sad. Like, these aren't people that are like, they're so sad. Like, it's the same guy over and over again. It's always people like living alone. There's probably been a recent death in the family, unemployed, on the internet all day, government support, drugs. It's like, and so then they direct their anger at me, try to prove I'm a fraud. People take them seriously because all they see is a little name on here and they can't smell them or see them.
Here, WV says, if you wouldn't react the way you do, people wouldn't try to get a rise out of you, Vox. That's absolutely false. That's absolutely and utterly false. You know, and it's not just attempting to get a rise out. These people aren't trying to get a rise out of me. These people don't expect to have any communication or contact with me at all. I didn't even know about this stuff. It was a complete surprise to me. But the fact that they are no. See, okay, well, I'm just gonna, this is what we're going to do from now on. We're just gonna ban everybody. You say somebody, I tell you something is true, and you say, no, that person is totally right. No, you're just banned. Okay, we're not. I'm going back to my roots. I am going back to the way that I used to run the blog, which is, if I think that you're too stupid to bother with, we'll just ban you instantly. So think very carefully before you decide that you're going to contradict me. Because if you don't have a very strong case, we're just going to get rid of it. No more nonsense. No more discussions, no more arguments about trivial, unimportant things. I'm not going to argue about this. I'm not going to discuss this. If this bothers you or offends you in any way, go away. It's fine. Dan Dearmeyer says the replatforming Patreon is turning out to be a great deal. Thanks for that. It is a great deal. It's arguably one of the best deals in books, short of getting stuff free.
And just to clear some stuff up, my Vegas show unfortunately has been canceled.
Get there. So, speaking of development and speaking of these issues, then as you may or may not know, I was mentioning Owen's stream earlier. So, Owen got deplatformed again. This time, what happened was a bunch of the gammas, what Coddington was describing as right-wing SJWs, and of course I'm talking about David Marcello and his little gang of Owen haters. They've been focused on trying to convince everyone that unauthorized is a scam, and so what happened was we had to move our videos off of the servers that they were originally on because Owen shattered their model, just completely shattered their model. And so, now obviously we've been working on setting all this stuff up, and we're doing all the normal things that you'd expect. We've got our servers, we've got the front end stuff that we're working on. We'll be working on the admin stuff. We're working on the super chat stuff. But what a lot of people don't seem to grasp, and especially these gamma critics don't seem to grasp, is that these things are considerably more difficult than they want to pretend. Like, for example, they'll say, oh, well, all you got to do is just do this like simple little Django front end, and then just get your server and whack it on there, and then you just have to throw a super chat thing together and hook it into PayPal, and that's all you got to do. Well, no, that isn't all you have to do, because everything has to work together smoothly and seamlessly. And you also can't make things that have obvious weak points that are going to get taken down. Like, for example, if we had done that and based it on PayPal, it was kind of hilarious because they actually thought that we were utilizing the Vimeo OTT system, and that the whole thing was running on the basis of a $75 premium account. Now, this is obviously nonsense. How can you tell it's nonsense? Because Vimeo has revenues of $160 million a year. They also report the number of users that they have. Even if all of those users had a $75 million or had a $75 premium account, so what happened is the same people that have been going on and on and on about unauthorized being a fraud, they went and have been going to all of our partners and trying to get us deplatformed. And so at Vimeo, after the complaints came in, they, like all the rest of our partners, ended up looking at the various videos, and they decided that Owens had to come down. So now this is not a situation like Patreon. This is not a situation like Indiegogo. It's not an actual deplatforming. It was been more of a good conversation and so forth. And so they came to us and said, look, here's the situation. We said, okay, good point. This is not really how we want to have this all set up. And they said, well, we'd really appreciate it if you would do something now. So we said, okay, fine. Because they approached it the right way, because they had a reasonable conversation with us. So we decided to go ahead and work it out with them. And so the upshot is that all of Owen's new videos are going to still continue to be put up on unauthorized. Most of the videos there, I think the videos from 701 and before are going to be on BitChute, and they're not going to be available through unauthorized, until we get the next stage of the operation up. And you can thank, David, what's his name for this? Davey Crocco. You can thank him for this. You can thank those guys. And here's the good news for them. When you successfully interfere with a contract between two parties, does anyone know what that's called? Does anyone know what it's called when you contact somebody and you attempt to interfere in the relationship between two parties to which neither of which, in a contract to which you are not a part? Jilly's got it. It's tortious interference. So the good news is that, the good news for them from their perspective is that they did manage to get Owen deplatformed from Vimeo. The bad news is they're now confirmed to have, they're now confirmed tortfeasors. And so, now I'm not going to pretend that we're going to address this right away because we are extremely busy right now with Patreon. It was kind of funny. I pointed out to everybody that Patreon had modified their terms of use because of what we're doing, and what's interesting about it, of course, these clueless idiots are like, they didn't do it because of you. It's like, why do you think that they added a clause saying that, well, you have to go to arbitration unless you're filing a claim that has to do with somebody else's account being terminated? Do you really think that's an accident? But here's the thing that's interesting about it, is that in going from the relatively safe space of arbitration, where you absolutely cannot do a class action, well, guess where you land yourself? Especially when you do this in a way that is illegally modifying a contract contrary to law. If you do that, if your modifications are against the law, you violated the law in doing so. And the interesting thing is, instead of having to worry only about Owen's backers or the backers of anyone else who's been deplatformed on Patreon, they just created the potential for a class action by every single member of Patreon. This you know, I was talking to a lawyer, and he literally laughed out loud when he read the thing, and he said, "I can't believe they did this." And I said, "So do you want lead?" And he said, "Oh yes." Oh yes. So what you're going to see relatively soon is that there is going to be at least 4 separate sets of activity on that front, involving a number of members of the Legal Legion. So if you want to know why we're not really interested in addressing some of the other issues, like the tortious interference with Vimeo and so forth, we are now, as of today, embarked on a major conflict that is an existential crisis for Patreon. It's that severe. And I can't tell you much more about it. But let's talk guns. Says, "I don't think you have the proof to make those claims, sir." What claim specifically are you talking about? And I will let you know if I have the proof or not. I'm not saying I'll provide you with the proof, but I'll let you know if I have it or not. A Rebel Without a General says, "It's been bothering me, but in your SSH video, you talked about how you interact with different tiers, save Omegas. I just don't happen to know any Omegas in my current day-to-day life. I interacted with some Omegas in the past. I know what Omegas are, but I'm a 51-year-old man. I'm married with children. I barely interact with anyone who is not married with children. My only interactions with people like that are the younger guys who belong to the same soccer club that I do. Do you have any good general life tips for Omegas asking for a friend? Yeah, with Omegas, shower every day. Dress like a normal person. Look around you. Pattern your behavior and your dress and your appearance on the average person around you. Don't try to be unique. Don't try to be efficient. Don't try to be cool. What you think is cool is not cool. Just learn how normal people behave. And if someone is kind to you, don't glom onto them. Be cool. Just be friendly. Be civil. But, one of the reasons that people keep Omegas at arm's length and why they're not as nice to them as they would actually like to be is because if they're nice to you, you'll never leave them alone. You're basically a beaten dog. You're like, this person pets me. I love them. Let's be best friends forever. Well, they're not like you. So just take the win and act like you've been there before. Let's see here. Let's talk guns. I'm always skeptical of those who make broad claims and don't provide any evidence outside their claim. That's fine, but you don't know me. Why do you think so many people have confidence in what I say? I said after Indiegogo deplatformed Archaven Comics, I said, we're going to take care of this. I'm not at liberty to announce the resolution until October 15th, 2021. But as everybody knows, Redacted Press had a very successful campaign there. And yes, Indiegogo knew all about it. So Um, you know, I can tell you, I mean, what I can tell you right now is that that the number of arbitrations that have already been filed with regards to the recent event of Owen's deplatforming is already in the triple digits. Okay? And I can tell you that because they've been delivered. So, you know, you can doubt all you want. Those are the absolute facts. You know, I'm not going to sit here and, show you all the FedEx receipts, but I don't lie about these things. Why would I ever lie about these things? If I lie, if I bluff, then it's going to get called. And then it's not going to be effective when dealing with large companies like Vimeo. I'll tell you all right now, that's just set number one. And it's not the entirety of set number one. It's not even close. So, but what I'm not going to talk about in the future is I'm not going to talk about, the Gamma's made a tremendous amount of hay out of Owen saying, well, we're not on Vimeo. I never talk to any of our creators about where our servers are. I mean, most people don't even seem to understand that it's very unusual to even buy a server. Most people are on the cloud. The price of servers has dropped considerably. You can get great deals on used servers now because nobody's using them anymore. They're on the cloud. They buy them from bandwidth providers, et cetera, et cetera. Now, obviously, we're not going to set up on the cloud because I don't want to be on Amazon. Think about how often you see AWS. That's Amazon. And, so we're not going to, in the future, we're just not going to say anything about the specifics of how we are set up because these, Gamma trolls attempt to use it against us. And the extent of the nonsense and insanity of their defamation is going to become clear over time as our system grows, becomes more solid, and expands. They probably don't believe Social Galactic 2 exists, and yet hundreds of you have already been on there posting. They probably don't believe that this financial partner exists, despite the fact that we raised, over $1 million with them already. So it's what it is. Gammas were in Heian, Japan. We're probably never going to be rid of them. I very much hope that we will have the time to, deal with their nonsense and make a few useful examples of a few of them. But right now, we've got time. The statute of limitations just began ticking. And we'll see what comes out of the police investigation. But and trust me, there's a lot of stuff that is going to come out with regards to the Patreon situation that is going to really surprise you. You're going to be saying, I can't believe they did that. And so, but we have to have priorities. And as much fun as it would be to, focus immediately on dropping, legal nukes on these annoying little bastards, they're just not important enough to focus on at the moment, even though they did manage to get Owen deplatformed from Vimeo, and they did manage to, create difficulties for Owen's videos on unauthorized. It doesn't affect anybody else. It's not going to affect any other videos on unauthorized, just Owen's. And like mountain bears, that kind of stuff, the stuff that uses Owen in it. So, it's what it is. Jilly Bear says, I do not for the life of me understand why Croco et al. Think we as adults need their interference. If the customers are satisfied, which they clearly are, not customers, then butt the heck out. If you don't understand the gamma mindset, I strongly recommend that you read either The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss or The Player of Games by Ian M. Banks. I really learned, I enjoyed The Player of Games, being a game designer and a game player. I enjoyed it when I read it the first time before I knew about or understood the social-sexual hierarchy. Now that I understand it, it's almost hard to read because the lead character is such a gamma wish fulfillment figure. I mean, if you want to read how gammas imagine themselves to be, they literally believe themselves to be, superheroes imposing justice on entire society, on all of society. And they're very philosophically weak. I mean, they're philosophically non-entities. And so they never ever stop to think about the fact that they actually are the very monsters they think they're fighting. They don't get that. For all of their self-obsession, their self-delusion is even greater. They think they're the hero. They don't realize that they're the nasty little monsters. Do you think the Patreon endgame will attract MSM attention? Most likely when it gets to a certain point. This first set is not, but there's going to be two things that will. One will be at our discretion. The other will just be public and everyone will know about when it happens. And then there's another thing that may or may not become public, but if it does, they're in a boatload of trouble. Let's see here. My Sigma Italian grandfather regrets leaving Picerno in his early 20s. Do you think suggesting he move back would be a good idea? Or Mexico than Italy is Africa? Dogwood Bear says, Vox, my wife and I are trying out a new diet plan that involves no alcohol, and I'm sleeping better than I have in a while. What time do you usually wake up in the morning since you have no goats to milk? I don't do mornings. It's against my philosophy. Set is not, but there's going to be two things that will. One will be at our discretion. The other will just be public and everyone will know about when it happens. And then there's another thing that may or may not become public, but if it does, they're in a boatload of trouble. Let's see here. My Sigma Italian grandfather regrets leaving Picerno in his. Think of all the poor people who signed up specifically for the live streaming and are too stupid to ask for a refund. Exactly. You know how many refunds we've had to give out for unauthorized. People that said, I would like a refund, please. And we gave them a refund immediately. 3. That's how many unsatisfied customers we've had. Do you like sci-fi first-person shooters like Halo? Yeah, I designed several. Kevin Boyer says things to do good things. Says things, do good things. Excited to hear the news. Here are some maple bucks for the fight. Maple bucks are always appreciated. I understand why it might be offensive. You're like, but I'm a customer. I'm a backer. You should be more responsive. Well, guess what? If we spend all of our time being responsive to that kind of unnecessary nonsense, then we can't do other much more important things. The Dread Ilk recognize that. The Legion recognizes that. Owen has already filed for arbitration. And what I can tell you now is that a significant number of his backers have now done the same. And what I can tell you is that there are also 2 other separate, unrelated arbitrations that have nothing to do with Owen or his backers that have also been launched. And so, it's a much it's important to remember that Patreon is about 5 times larger than Indiegogo in terms of their overall sales. And that means that modification of the terms is a very clear violation of the California Deceptive Practices Law, which expands the total pool of potential plaintiffs/claimants from around, maybe 10,000 to, probably over 1 million. And so, so this is a significant and, very, very, I guess you could say, comprehensive, offensive by the Legal Legion. We have more people involved than we've ever had involved, both in terms of the legal talent, and including the number of people who are both actively involved versus potentially involved. And so, and again, I'll repeat, if you were a backer of Owen's, be sure to email him and let him know. If you are not yet part of the replatforming, somebody said something about they said that they were on the Owen Benjamin Reddit and said that the gammas were, it says, total psychosis on there, never saw so many gammas assemble. Yeah, because they are gradually beginning to understand that they have crossed some serious legal lines, and we'll get to it. They're not the priority. Why would they be? But with what we're dealing with, there are far more people than Owen involved. Also, given the fact that there is a ongoing police investigation, number one, I have no interest in getting in the way of that, and number two, what they come up with, we'll have access to, and that will, we can use that as a starting point. Let's Talk Guns. He says, "Ain't nobody crossed no lines. You're bluffing." Yes, people absolutely have crossed lines. There are people who have filed false reports. There are people who have committed repeated public acts of defamation. And, you don't have to believe me. I don't care if you don't believe me. But try to keep in mind that we're used to people bluffing. In fact, one of my favorite bluffs was when we were told. Let's leave the names out of it. We were told by a certain technology company that we didn't understand their very, very difficult and complicated technology. Let me explain something very simple to you. If you commit a tort and you are a tortfeasor, then every single person against whom you have committed that tort has an absolute and unquestioned legal right to take you to court. And so if you are dumb enough to do something that negatively affects 10 people, you can't complain about those 10 people going ahead and acting in concert to hold you accountable. This is what's called a class action, if you're talking about a lawsuit. Now, in arbitration, you're not allowed to do that typically by the terms of use. Typically what they'll say is that you are not permitted to consolidate. Now, interestingly enough, Indiegogo, for reasons... Oh, apparently we have SG2 News. All UTV annual premium and basic subscribers have received their SG2 invites. Check your email. Jimbo Khan says, why are these people talking about RICO? Because they're scared. Because they desperately want to imagine that they have some sort of way of striking back. They can complain all they want about whatever they want. We're not doing anything yet except for cataloging the information, and we'll get around to it when we get to it. They're not our top priority. They're the top. The situation with Owen is a priority for the police, or at least for the police detective who's been assigned to it. But it's not our concern at the moment. When you understand the extent of what's taking place, when you understand what's going on, like I said, what's going on right now is something that could potentially involve every single user at Patreon prior to December 20th. That's how potentially big it is. Look at how many people were patrons of Owen. Look at how many people are patrons of some of the other people who have been deplatformed. Do the math. Sir Hamster says, let's talk guns. Well, you do have some body language that suggests you are bluffing. No, I don't. None whatsoever. And we're not talking about Dr. Crocco. We're talking about David Marcello. That's his name. You guys can't get anything straight. You're running around whining about doxing. I haven't doxed him. Of course I have his address and his phone number and all that other stuff. I've had it from the beginning. But I'm not going to dox him. What would be the point? All we need that information for is to make sure that he is properly served when the time comes. And as far as the other stuff, well, I'm not going to say anything about that because that's the police investigation. I've already heard from Vimeo. I've got a direct email, several emails from Vimeo when you try to claim that I'm bluffing. I don't bluff. You know why? Because it's counterproductive. When you are in the kind of situations that we find ourselves in all the time with the deplatformings, whether it's with Indiegogo, whether it's with PayPal, whether it's with Vimeo, whether it's with Patreon, the single most useful thing is the ability of the other side to be able to trust what I'm saying. I understand that you guys are not used to telling the truth. I understand that you guys are used to posturing and bluffing and posing and engaging in rhetoric and trying to emotionally manipulate and all those things. I literally wrote the book on it. But I am not like you. And you are not like me. All right? And you don't have to believe me. You don't have to, you can claim anything that you want to about my body language or whatever. It's not relevant. It's not even remotely relevant. Let's see here. Prove it are such famous last words. Yeah, prove what? We could arrange to serve. Here's the interesting thing that these guys don't even think about and they don't even understand. We could arrange to. If you think about this, Unauthorized is not a U.S. corporation. We have absolutely no need whatsoever to act against people defaming the operation in the United States. We can literally hit them practically anywhere on the planet, get a judgment, and then file the judgment in a U.S. court. They don't even understand how the whole thing works. They have no conception of it whatsoever. And we haven't even begun. Works. They have no conception of it whatsoever. And we haven't even begun to figure out where we're going to act or what we're going to do. Why? Because we're a little bit busy right now with stuff going on, not just in Silicon Valley, but also in Ireland. And, you can look it up. If any of you actually pays any attention and reads the kind of stuff that I read, and that the other guys in the Legion read, you know exactly why I mentioned Ireland. So, meanwhile, meanwhile, these guys are running around claiming, oh, well, you can't do. Let me explain something very simple. Anyone, literally anyone, can bring a lawsuit against anybody else for any reason. David Marcello can bring a lawsuit against Rachel Fulton Brown, claiming that she plagiarized the Milo Chronicles. He can do it. There's literally nothing stopping him from doing it. All he needs to do is write up a claim and go to the University of Chicago, figure out where her office is, and get her served. Boom, boom, boom. There you go. Is he going to win? Not a chance in hell. But you can do it. So running around saying, you can't do this, or this, that, and the other thing. I mean, that all that does is communicate that you have absolutely no idea what you're talking about. And it's obvious that these people don't know what they're talking about, because all you need to do is look at what they do for a living. I generally don't ask people who work at McDonald's, what the ideal legal strategy is for defamation in Australia. But they don't seem to understand that, like somebody who just got banned was saying something about you're super sketchy business. There's literally nothing sketchy about it at all. Nothing at all. I mean, the funniest thing is that when the lawyers were looking at what people were saying, they were trying to figure out what the hell they were talking about. Like, wait, they think it's sketchy because they don't think you're telling the truth about your servers? What does that have to do with anything? So I explained, they're like, so? I mean, it's just, Sir Hamster's right. These guys are this retarded. I mean, it's I've looked it up. America has free speech laws. What part of you've been defaming a foreign corporation do you not understand, you moron? You looked it up. I mean, first of all, defamation, not free speech. Slander and libel, not free speech. And not U.S. law. I mean, you're actually seeing the level of retardery on display here. The only thing that I would like better is to find out that you're actually one of Patreon's lawyers. I mean, can you prove damages? It's not necessary in the case of defamation per se. Damage, I mean, depending on what the nature of the tort is, and I mean, for example, CNN did not have a right to say the things that it said about the Covington kid. That's why they paid him a settlement, because they were going to lose. And so you can look it up. Calling someone a fraud is defamation. I mean, look, I will look it up in real time here. Okay, so I'll go here and I'll say defamation accusation of fraud. Okay? You can just look it right up. It's right here in Ottawa Business. Okay. I mean, there are there's an entire industry about this, set up for this. Here you go. there. Allegations of fraud can result in false rumors about you which taint your reputation. If this is the case, you may file a claim for defamation. For your defamation claim against your employer or a colleague to succeed, because this is from an employee fraud case, you must prove that the accused published or broadcasted the false statements against you. Gee, how would we ever prove that? I like Gunn says, I like how you're overconfident in your attempts to exploit the legal systems. I'm sure lawyers and judges will love seeing nonsense cases. That's the whole point. I mean, that's literally the whole point. They're not nonsense cases. Oh, it's too long here. I see. All right, we'll just cut it short. But it gets the point. You know, and so trolls are mad that they can't figure out the details of your private business. They even said on the Owen subreddit that UATV is inoperable. It's running fine. So anyhow, here, let's talk guns. Why don't you stop the bluffing and stop, trying to manipulate the situation through just babbling in nonstop ignorance? Why don't you just watch what happens with Patreon? Okay? Just watch what happens there. This is not an internet slap fight. I'm not bluffing. And, it is very, very easy for you to sit and watch what happens. David Marcello's defamation was broadcasted. It's an opportunity to watch and see what we do in action. And, after that, maybe we'll have a conversation, or maybe we'll just, we'll just go ahead and take care of it. Defiance Bear sends $15 for the coming victories. Again, let's talk guns. Not relevant to anybody who's not in the U.S. Anyhow, I think we've had enough of him. I mean, he served a useful purpose, but his utility is now done. So, anyhow, yeah, the Jilly Bear is right. Defamation is not covered under the Speech Act either. Yeah, and so it's, they're doing exactly what Patreon's doing. They're clutching at straws. It's the same reason that, when people get desperate, they just start throwing different ideas out there. We see this every single time. And so, just sit back and enjoy the ride. Matt Brooks says, hey Vox, why are you going after anybody tangentially affiliated to those who allegedly swatted Owen? Well, because we have reason to believe that the person who swatted Owen actually has a direct connection to Davy Crocco. He says, Davy Crocco did nothing wrong at all. Please rethink your actions or face consequences. Yeah, we're already facing the consequences. We've already seen that some of your folks are, we already know what you guys are doing. We've already seen the kind of stuff that you guys are trying to put out there, stuff that is in wild violation of Reddit's policies, by the way. And so, first of all, as I've pointed out repeatedly, Davy Crocco did exactly the same thing that CNN did. He committed defamation. CNN is now paying millions of dollars to Nick Sandman. Now, obviously, that's not likely to happen because, Mr. Marcello does not have millions of dollars. But the point is, it's all the same thing. You can't say somebody who literally did exactly the same thing as someone else did nothing wrong when it's very clear that the second party did. So, I mean, what if we're not in doing the investigation? The police are doing the investigation. If he did nothing wrong, then obviously he won't have anything to concern himself with. But if someone closely affiliated to him, closely and directly affiliated to him did something wrong, then they're probably going to find out exactly who did what and so forth. So, anyhow, and if you're saying, if you're trying to offer some sort of threat with facing consequences, you might want to rethink that now that the police are already paying attention to you guys. They're already reading your Reddit forums. They're already reading the emails that some of you have sent to places like Vimeo and Stripe and everything else that we happen to work with. Okay? You're not going to fool anyone by going and sending it in from an internet cafe or anything. When they get a warrant, they'll go through everything they need to go through. So relax. Whatever, we know, a fair amount about the other person. Ethan knows I'm not a liar. I'm not a scammer. I'm not a grifter. I'm none of those things. So, Artillery Max said, do you know why it is taking so long for the police to figure out who called them about Owen? Well, I don't know why, but I have, I have my suspicions. So, and I'm not going to, theorize about that. So, Matt Brooks. Okay, there's definitely a threat from Matt Brooks. Enjoy unauthorized while it lasts. Okay, Matt. We'll keep that in mind. We already know that you guys are desperately attempting to commit tortious interference. You're reaching out to various companies, trying to get us deplatformed. And that's an exceptionally stupid thing to do, because if you're successful, we can take everything you have. You just might want to think about that. So, why do these gammas threaten consequences? Don't they know it's just a joke? Yeah. Holly the Cook points out, I never understand stalkers who go after people online. It's how they're wired. The funny thing is that there's a guy who is apparently making a porcelain style documentary. He wants to make one about me and one about Owen. But the remarkable thing is that he's actually talking to Andrew Marston, who is the guy who got dragged down to the police station in Massachusetts, and who's claiming that I'm lying about all that sort of stuff. I have the criminal complaints. I have all the emails from the policeman who was at his house, etc., etc. If that stuff comes out, then so will everything else. The only reason that I didn't put any of that stuff out there is because I hoped that the guy had learned his lesson. Also, because the policeman had said there's something like seriously mentally wrong with this guy. He's not all there. And so I was like, okay, And in fairness, the guy has stayed off of the blog. But, like every other twisted little gamma freak, he's been waiting all this time to try to take his shot. I can't imagine behaving like this. They do seem to be. They're not that young. They're not like 18 years old for the most part. Um, and so, it is what it is. Remember Lad, subscribe to Big Bear, says, who thinks they can get away with committing this type of crime? I bet on the Canuck who thinks they're untouchable, and there's this horde of them spiraling I've discovered. Yeah, they don't seem to understand that the government has practically everything. I mean, it's like they don't have never heard of the NSA or FBI's Carnivore or any of that sort of thing. There has been this massive surveillance state that has been constructed around us all. Every email you send, every time you're on the internet, all of that stuff has been collected and is in a giant file about you. And it's not just, these creepy little guys. It's everybody. They have it on all of us. And so when they want to, when they have a reason to dig into this stuff, they can find whatever, they'll find whatever they need to find. They'll find whatever they want to find. And so, yeah, Chris is right. And all that data is training AI. Yeah. Jonathan Prime, you probably got temporarily blocked on the chats in too quickly or something. So anyhow, when you need to understand that everything you do on the internet is logged, tracked, recorded, and filed. This is why you should tell the truth. This is why you should not try to be clever and do things out of the movies that you think is somehow going to protect you from being identified. There's nothing. Let's see. Emiko McCarran says, you are linked to Epstein through Cernovich. Because most of your actions don't. There's nothing wrong with, I should say, there shouldn't be anything wrong with making fun of somebody on the internet. But guess what? Owen lost his career over it. Why would you think that you're any safer? Now, also, what was I going to say? Also, just because you say that you're making fun of someone does not allow you to commit defamation. It does not allow you to slander them. It does not allow you to harass their families. It does not allow you to pretend that you are them. There is a lot of things that you are not permitted to do. Free speech does not protect. And just calling it making fun isn't going to help you. That defense is no better than Paul Krugman's defense that QAnon hacked his IP address. And that's true. That's one thing Social Galactic will do, is we will absolutely kill all the rule lawyers. Yeah. Leave Matt's things here. Matt Brooks says, just admit you're puffing your chest and don't have anything against these trolls. Yeah, actually we do. You picked Davey because you don't actually know who is messing with you and Owen, ha ha ha. Well, we know that you are. And we know that Davey is. We don't know exactly who has done what. That's not for us to determine. That's for the police to determine. They'll look into it. And there are reasons why, it's not necessarily them. I'm not accusing them of doing that. The only thing I've accused Davey of doing is defaming unauthorized, which he has repeatedly, publicly, on the record, internationally. So, Take Cover says, would you implement some sort of ad system? No, we are not going. Never get notifications for this channel. Subscribe to it. If you're a channel subscriber, I send everybody an email before most of the streams. I won't say all of them because occasionally I just go on without warning. But I sent the notifications to all the subscribers who have sent me their email 15 minutes before we started. Didn't you say we could thank Davey for getting Owen deplatformed from Vimeo? Well, we can thank that whole crew. He was certainly talking about it. I haven't reviewed all of the transcripts of the videos, so I don't know whether he actually directed people to send emails there or not, but we'll see. Again, they're not the priority right now. The police are handling it, and so so we don't have anything. I wouldn't want to do anything until they complete their investigation. So, Take Cover says, who are these guys? Ex-fans of yours? No, they're not. Well, they're not ex-fans of mine. There are a few people in their Reddit group that are very old trolls from VP, but most of them are Owen's ankle biters. Let's see here. Let's see. Are we allowed to thank other channels? I don't care. Let's see here. Outdoor Enthusiastic says, apology for emailing about Social Galactic prior to reading your blog post about it. Yeah, that's one thing that you'll see is that people constantly do this thing where they prove it, you haven't done it yet, prove it. Remember, it took 11 months to get the Indiegogo situation resolved. It's taken how long? I mean, we had, until very recently, we've had 23 people on Social Galactic. Now there's 1,000. And things take time. Oh, by the way, speaking of time, I do have for a counterattack. So learn to love the conflict. Learn to enjoy it. The ride never ends. That's what the ride never ends means. It means the conflict isn't going to end. If it isn't Andrew Marston, it's going to be Revenge of the Siths, or it's going to be Davy Crocco, or it's going to be whoever else it is that comes along next. There's always going to be somebody. So don't worry about it. Don't lose any sleep over it. They'll take their shots. Some of them will land. It doesn't matter. The ring fight that I won without really having to even throw a punch or kick was the ring fight when I got my nose broken in the very first exchange. People who are enemies are the people who attempt to affect your job, who attempt to harm your family, who attempt to attack your children. Those are the people who are enemies, and those are the people that you never ever stop going after. And so, when you know that somebody's an enemy, and then you just have to treat them like an enemy. But it's also very good to ensure that the people like Right. John Beckham says, so if you really dislike someone, attack their children so you become your enemy. Yeah, I mean, that's just insane. But that's what some of them did. Jablinski Games. Don't delete this one. I want to address this. Vox, if you couldn't get streaming on your platform, how could you possibly do something complicated like manipulate the law so you can continue failing to deliver what people pay for? First of all, we have streaming working on our platform. It has been working there for months. I could stream there tonight if I wanted to. That we're on. We have live streaming that works. We don't use it at the request of some of our partners. So you can whine about it, you can cry about it, you can complain about it, but all of our customers, all of our subscribers are happy with what they're getting because they don't care where they watch the streaming. They can watch it here. They can watch it on DLive. What they are mostly supporting, what they are primarily supporting is the creators. That's the focus, that's the purpose, and that's why we don't have separate paywalls for the separate subscriptions. You can subscribe to David the Good and you still get all my streams. You get the documentaries. You get the specials. You can subscribe to the legend Chuck Dixon and you still get David's videos and Professor Rayton Fulton Brown's videos. If you guys have a complaint about it, then by all means, go ahead and try to register your complaint with the Better Business Bureau. That's fine. Go ahead. Question, what if I wanted to support the SDL as a content creator? No, there is no option. And so I'm a writer with the Daily Dot. We're looking into the many platforms that host you and your company in light of repeated accusations that you espouse various forms of bigotry and defame people on your blogs, YouTube channel, and other places, which some argue violate the platform's policies. Gee, I wonder who's been making these repeated accusations, huh? Here are my questions for you. Have you ever been warned by or kicked off of any of the platforms in addition to Amazon, Indiegogo, and Twitter for violations of their policies? If so, which platforms and what was the basis of the complaint? What was the outcome? What was your take on it? To confirm, Amazon reinstated Castalia House after a brief suspension last year. Indiegogo did not, nor has Twitter reinstated your account, correct? Also to confirm, this is your Castalia House Patreon account, correct? You've mentioned having an issue with Patreon on your YouTube channel recently. What's going on there? And then just more stuff. My deadline is noon EST tomorrow. Thanks. And of course, my immediate thought was to just, delete and ignore, which I do pretty much every day. And so, but then I thought, we already have a number of emails from this individual. So, and she's already given away a few things that I know we can use. And so I sent back the following email. And this, again, I understand. I'm violating my principle. Obviously, I should have handed it over to my PR director, Pax Dickinson. So anyhow, I just wrote back, Dear Ms. Goforth, thank you for your admission that you were attempting to tortiously interfere with the contracts that govern the relationships with the various platforms you mention. Regards, Vox Day. And so what we're doing here and what we've learned now to do is to make sure that they have been put on notice, because what they are doing is attempted tortious interference. Now, of course, they try to claim, oh, we're just reporting. We're just reporting. Anyone knows that reporting is not tortious interference. And that would be true if simply reporting was all that was happening. But here's the thing. They're not just reporting. What they're doing is they're attempting to create a narrative, and they are going to these various companies, and very frequently they are saying things that are not true. They don't always know that they're not true, but the fact of the matter is that even truth is not necessarily a defense, because this is not their business. You know, the relationship between two people in a contract is not their business. And so, think about it. Imagine if they were going to, if they were doing this every time they found out something about an athlete. And these athletes all have pretty serious contracts saying that you're not allowed to ride a motorcycle. And so if they go to the sports team and they say, so-and-so is riding a motorcycle, what are you going to do about it? It's the same sort of thing. It's basically weaponized media activism in an attempt to try to get people deplatformed, disemployed, etc., etc. And so, and keep in mind, I would just like to remind you that a lot of the people that are giving them, not a lot, there's not a lot of people, but these people are giving them ammunition. They're giving ammunition to the left and to the SJWs. So, now the thing is that there's nothing to do about it unless and until they're successful. So, for example, we cannot, we could not pursue Amanda Robb because her attempt to interfere with Amazon was unsuccessful. However, we know for a fact that she also attempted to interfere with Indiegogo. We have her emails. The same is true with the people who have attempted to interfere with us and a number of these other places. And so, so when you look at when you look at this, it's obvious what they're trying to do. It's obvious how they're attempting to interfere with this stuff. But here's the thing: it's not really working very well anymore, because everyone is beginning to understand what they're doing. And when I say everyone, I mean the platforms that they're contacting are beginning to understand what they're doing, and they're beginning to understand how that behavior puts them at risk. And so once you understand this, and now the thing is, she's been put on notice that we know what she's doing, that we know she's attempting to tortiously interfere with us. And if anything were to come of it, and let's just say we wouldn't necessarily be disappointed terribly if some of her efforts were successful. Then we have the grounds to go ahead and take action. And so, and people can do all the protesting that they want. People can do all the theorizing that they want and that sort of thing. The fact of the matter is, we know exactly what we're doing. We've been doing this for a while now. And, as I put the post up today, the Death Star has been weaponized. I mean, I understand that people are dubious. That's fine. I understand that people don't know exactly what's going on. They don't, and fact. This is not a absolute prediction. But I expect that you're going to see. No, I'm not going to give her name. It doesn't matter. They all do this, okay? So don't worry about it. What you're going to see is, I expect that before the end of this month, you're going to see Patreon change their terms of use again. And it is going to be a change that is essentially going to go back to their previous terms of use. Now, I know a lot of you didn't believe that they changed the terms of use because of us the first time. I guarantee you they did. And I guarantee you that if they make this change, which I anticipate that they will do, then you'll know. I'm calling the shot. I'm not just saying they're going to change the terms of use. I'm telling you what the change is going to entail. And so, somebody said, why has no one else taken the tortious interference angle against the deplatformers before? I don't know. I mean, I think most people are fundamentally afraid of the law. They find it complicated. They find it scary. And also they have understanding that it's very expensive, which it can be. But it might help to understand that we were accustomed to this going back to 1997, 1998, actually. I think it was 1998. And so, so when you look at what goes on, we saw all the worst of the big money, big corporation attempts to bluff. We'll bleed you dry. We'll bankrupt you. We were dealing with really aggressive New York lawyers. And so, our experience in dealing with that, and it might help to understand that one of my best friends is not only a lawyer, but was the legal director for a $2 billion company. We have a tremendous amount of talent, and we have a tremendous amount of brain power at our disposal. I mean, all you got to do is look at some of the law firms that we've encountered and gone up against. And remember, we have never, ever lost. Not once. And so, let's see. If you work for a company, can they tell you not to sue someone for tortious interference? No. No, they can't. And so, but one of the reasons, somebody said, well, how come there hasn't been much exploration of this? And there's two reasons, I believe. Number one, the internet economy was primarily and initially about eyeballs. You know, what can you sue Twitter about? There's nothing that you can sue Twitter about. They let you use something free, and then they stop letting you use something free. There's nothing to interfere with. There's no damages. There's no loss. You know, I mean, when I was, technically I wasn't banned. I was only suspended. But I never even thought of, contesting it in any way, shape, or form because it was so obvious that there was no loss. And so, but what happened is, as these companies began to move towards trying to monetize and make money, then they moved beyond the world where the terms of use were the only things that matter. And furthermore, these companies tend to be incredibly fragile from the legal perspective. They are violating so many laws these days. Whether it's the California Data Privacy Act, whether it's the GDPR. I was talking to a very high-powered lawyer who not only regularly attends but actually teaches a number of legal conferences, and they were talking about the data privacy processes and so forth. And the general consensus of the lawyers at most of these large companies is that none of them, absolutely none of them, are entirely abiding by the laws. And so, you just need to know where to look. You just need to know what they're doing. And also,
I don't know what you're trying to say, Tellbear. There's nothing more vile than a person who would harm or threaten a child in any way. Oh, I know. And I'm just, some of you guys watch their channels, and it's pretty gross. You should have better discernment than that. Some of these channels that are so vile, but it's way worse than you could even imagine. And I was just, don't do that. Like, don't put those people into your mind. It's like, it's just insane. PB, do you ever get told weirdo fan letters? No, because they usually have so little effort that they don't even use they don't know how to use a mailbox or anything. They just sit and they masturbate to pornography and they do drugs and drink and they try to make your life hell on the internet because they're just so low. Your boy's about as old as my boy. I support your decision. Yes. Greetings, Owen. Thanks for your contributions to the USA. I've been studying permaculture and communicate with people at Wheaton Labs in Montana. One of my skills is drawing. I've made plans for a few projects these people have been building on their educational homestead. I will send you the original PDFs. I sell these plans on the digital market at the Wheaton Labs website, permies.com, Permies. Any traffic to the drawings or the educational property would be greatly appreciated. Best, David. I don't know what this stuff is. What kind of channels have those kind of creeps? Some of you watch them. I'll just leave it at that. And I don't know how that's possible. Watch those or download them or make clips out of them, whatever you want. If you're not bashing me and my business and my family on YouTube, you can do clips channels. It's just all about your intention. Are you doing it to spread the gravy and to get a community going for yourself? Then great. If you're doing it to hurt me or harm me, I'm gonna have a problem with it. But that's it. Unbearablesmerchandise.com. We have aprons are back. I think beanies are back. So check that out. And P.O. Box 727, Gig Harbor, Washington. The Gamma has to brag. The funniest thing to do is just don't give them any acknowledgement. And then they'll go into a chat and they'll just, because the whole reason they do this nonsense, they try and like take down our websites and swat us and stuff, is to impress their dumb little friends. And so they're so predictable and they don't even realize it. The Gammas are so predictable. They're just like, guess what I did? I called this and this and it's like, gotcha, bitch. And it's got to be calm. You know, revenge is best served cold. Gammas can't help their mouths and bragging about their mischief. It's why they do it. It's to look cool. It's all posturing. The only reason they do this is so that they can say it to their friends and get some sort of status. And anyone who gives status to people who use the legal authorities to attempt to separate a man from his children, whoever's giving you status for that is also evil and disgusting. All right. How does Social Security number relate to the maritime? I don't want to get into any of that. Like, I love you, Boingo Bear. I'm not being fired up here. I am not an Admiralty guy or a sovereign citizen guy. I want nothing to do with it. And I don't recommend you get into it on anything other than an intellectual exercise. So I'm not your source. There's plenty of sources for all that stuff, but I really suggest that you don't throw away your life trying to fight a system that is already set up to beat you. How dare you support the ADLBB? What's next, John? How would you then not engage in quote unquote drama? Would you pretend you didn't say it out loud? I was legally swatted. It wasn't as violent as that sounded. I actually made some friends with some people. But I'm not giving any details because the idiots who did it were bragging about it, giving details I never said on stream. That's why I never gave details, you know, because I am a long thinker. I think ahead. And so what the Big Bear did is I said what was true, which I was legally swatted by Gammas. And I knew that all they do is get each other fired up on Reddit and brag and brag and brag. So as soon as I caught a few of them saying details I never said online, I got it to the detective who's working on it. May take a while, may take a week, may take a year. I don't know. But now that I'm pretty sure we figured out who it was, I can tell you why I didn't tell any details, and I never will. You can go to prison for 20 years for swatting. Yeah, and much love to the ADL. You'll never hear me say something like that again, probably. But the ADL, for all of their incredible amounts of corruption and faults, they've been doing some good work with going after people who use the system against people. Their anti-SWAT stuff is amazing. I really do appreciate the ADL for that. They made their beds. Yeah, exactly. But that's the whole reason I never told the story, and I didn't tell why I wasn't telling the story, but now I can tell you. Because on their stupid little chats, they were, and we got VFM and bears everywhere, guys. You think your little Discords and your little Reddits and you don't think that we always have people reading that stuff? And so when people bragged about what they did without any details I said, that's how you catch people, idiots. All right. Big Bear, hello.